Okay, welcome in. I'm now going to be reviewing Saturday's action from the Major League Baseball season. Starting in Detroit, as they were hosting the Oakland A's, the A's would shut out the Tigers 4-0. They are now sitting at 2-7 after the loss. The Detroit Tigers are 6-2. Paul Blackburn got his first win of the season, while Kenta Maeda suffered the first loss of the year. Cleveland Guardians took on the Minnesota Twins. The final score would be 3-1 in favor of the Guardians. They have now improved to 7-2, while the Twins have dropped to 3-4. Nick Sandlin has gone 2-0 so far on this season. After the win, Joe Ryan suffered the loss. He's 0-1, and Emmanuel Clace has got his fourth save of the year. The Miami Marlins were continuing their road trip in St. Louis, taking on the Cardinals. The Cardinals would win a close one, 3-1, and they are now sitting at 5-4. While the Marlins are still looking for their first win of the season, they're at 0-9. Steven Matz got the first win. He's 1-0. Trevor Rogers would get the loss, and Ryan Helsley would get his third save of the year. The Philadelphia Phillies went into Washington to take on the Nationals. The Phillies would win this matchup 5-2. They are now sitting at 4-4, while the Nationals have dropped to 2-6. Ranger Suarez has improved to 1-0. Jake Irvin's 0-1. And Jose Alvarado, got his second save of the year. The Baltimore Orioles went into Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. The Pirates would prevail. 5-4 would be the final score, in a nail-biter to say the least. The Pirates have now improved to 7-2, while the Baltimore Orioles are 5-3. The Los Angeles Dodgers went into Chicago to take on the Cubs. They would win this one. 4-1 would be the final score. They have now improved to 8-3, while the Cubs, after their five-game winning streak, after their five-game winning streak came to an end, they're now 5-3. If I pronounce his name correctly, Yoshinobu Yamamoto would pick up his first win of the year. He's now 1-1, while Jordan Wicks suffered the loss. He's 0-1. The New York Mets went into Cincinnati to take on the Reds. The Reds would win this matchup in a high-scoring affair. 9-6 would be the final score. Cincinnati has now improved to 5-3, while the Mets have dropped to 2-6. Emilio Pagan will get his first win of the season, while Johan Ramirez suffered his first loss of the year. The Houston Texans were taking on the Texas Rangers. Houston Texans, oh my gosh. The Houston Astros were taking on the Texas Rangers. A battle of Texas, I guess you could say. The Rangers would prevail in this matchup. 7-2 would be the final score. Texas has now improved to 6-2 on the season, while the Houston Astros have dropped to 2-7. Kirby Yates picked up his first win, while JP France suffered his first loss of the year. Two teams from the AL East, as we had the Toronto Blue Jays continuing their road trip in New York, taking on the New York Yankees. This would be a close matchup. 9-8 would be the final score, so a lot of scoring. But the Yankees prevailed in the end. They have now improved to 7-2, while the Blue Jays have now dropped to 4-5. Luke Weaver is now a perfect 3-0 on the season, while Kevin Guzman suffered the first loss of the year. Clay Holmes would pick up his fourth save of the season. The Seattle Mariners went into Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. The Seattle Mariners would prevail in this matchup. 5-3 would be the final score. They are now sitting at 4-5, while the Brewers are at 5-2. Bryce Miller would even up his record at 1-1 after the victory. DL Hall suffered the loss, and Andreas Munoz would get his second save of the year. The Chicago White Sox took on the Kansas City Royals, and the Royals would get a shutout. 3-0 would be the final score. With the victory, the Royals are now 5-4, while the White Sox are a lonely 1-7. Michael Walcha would get his first win of the season. Chris Flexen suffered his second loss of the season, and Chris Stratton got his first save for the Royals. The Arizona Diamondbacks took on the Atlanta Braves in a very high-scoring affair, just like the game above it. 9-8 would be the final score in favor of the home team. The Braves have now improved to 5-2, while the Arizona Diamondbacks have dropped to 4-5. AJ Minster would even up his record at 1-1. Luis Freyes would suffer his first loss of the year, and Raisel Iglesias would get his first save for the Braves. The Tampa Bay Rays went into Colorado to take on the Rockies. 8-6 would be the final score. With the victory, the Tampa Bay Rays are this much closer to being back to 500. They're at 4-5, while the Rockies have now dropped to 2-7. Garrett Clevinger would pick up his first win of the season, while Jalen Beeks is now 1-1 after the loss. Colin Poach, if I pronounce that name correctly, will get his first save for the Rays. The San Diego Padres were continuing their series with the San Francisco Giants. They would actually shut out the Giants. 4-0 would be the final score. 5-6 is where they stand at the end of this matchup, while the Giants are now sitting at 3-6. Michael King would pick up his second win of the season. He's now 2-0, while Keaton Wynn suffered his second loss of the year. He's 0-2. And the last game from Saturday took place in Los Angeles as we had the Angels hosting the Red Sox. 2-1 would be the final score. With the victory, the Angels are now sitting at 5-3. Despite the loss, the Red Sox are 6-3, so really not that bad. Reed Detmers would pick up his second win of the season, while Greg Weissert suffered his first loss, and Carlos Estevez would pick up his third win of this young 2024 season. Alrighty, that takes care of my recap from Saturday's action of the Major League Baseball season. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.